turn it down. Okay, looking for the live. Third party contact being sent. Got it. Mm-hmm. Now my live video should be coming up right here. Go to your channel. Okay. I don't see it coming on the stream. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah. On the stream. Yes. Here it is. Okay. And let me turn it down. Okay, okay, yes. Yes, welcome to Feminine Alchemy, the #1 podcast that is dedicated to the evolution of women and those of us who are seasoned and savvy and over 40, honey. And in this episode of Feminine Alchemy, we will discuss pro-aging audaciously. I am your host, Tracy, the Sacred CEO, and I am joined by the lovely, incomparable Candice Denise, who is a self-care and wellness maven, and her work speaks for itself. So we're going to get into it this evening, honey. So if you've had issues with actually, there we go. Okay, if you've had issues with you know 40s and 50s and beyond, and you wake up one morning and you're like, I don't look like the same person. My skin has changed. My eyes have changed. My neck has changed. My body has fallen. And I have these gray hairs now. And my whole presence has just transformed. And it can be quite scary. Like, I know for me, I was like, what's going on with me? Well, I'm transforming right before my eyes. How do I do this? Right. And it can be challenging. And I thought no better person could come on and help us with pro-aging audaciously but Candice Denise. We hear all about the anti-aging cream, that anti-aging serum. Everything is anti-aging when the truth of the matter is you can't anti-age. I don't care what you do. Age is going to happen. It is a natural process of life. So I'm like, fuck it. Let me age audaciously, damn it. Let me age audaciously. So come on through, Candice Denise. Tell everybody who you are, honey.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here. And this is such an awesome conversation, and one that I am understanding and living through myself. And so I am a digital content creator, a 40 plus digital content creator. So a lot of my content is about being over 40 and your well-being and what that's looking like now, that life is changing. And how we take care of ourselves. So digital content creator, I'm a motivational speaker, a self-care coach, as well as a content strategist, because I also like to see people use their platforms here on social media to help spread their message, and to be able to do so in a way that connects with their audience and converts them at the same time. And not just converting them into sales, but converting them into community members, converting them into people who want to engage with you, converting them into people who want to sign up for whatever your mission is and apply it to their lives as well. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about how did you begin to accept pro age? How did you begin to accept aging? And then how did you turn it into pro-aging. Because like you said, you help women who are over 40 in the self-care and wellness space. So that means you had to do a lot of work yourself. So give us a little history about how you got here.
Yeah, so my background is in event planning. So for about 11 plus years, I was an event planner, event and wedding planner. And one of the things that you're doing as an event planner is that you're hired to take on someone else's stress, right? And so when you're taking on someone else's stress, you don't know what to do with your own. And I realized that my stress needed to go somewhere. I needed to do something because now I got double stress. I've got my clients and my own. And that's a combination for disaster. And so I had to find ways to start working through stress for myself so that I wasn't feeling burned out and overwhelmed. In doing that, I decided to shift from that business and that industry, and I moved into creative direction and working with female entrepreneurs on their brand photo shoots. And so how to market themselves. And every time I would ask my client, well, how are you? They would tell me how their business was, but they wouldn't tell me how they were. And so I
Mm,
realized I saw a bit of myself in them because that's how I was with my event planning company. I was always able to tell you about the business, but when it came to telling me about like how I wasn't putting as much effort into taking care of me as I was in taking care of the business. So that's what made me shift to where I am today into self-care and well-being because I saw a need to help women really understand the value of a sustainable them, right? What you appreciate appreciates. And so when you appreciate yourself, you will
love
appreciate
that.
value in all
Oh
ways.
my goodness. Can you repeat that? What you appreciate.
Yeah,
Doesn't depreciate,
yeah,
it appreciates
yeah,
because you're giving it care, concern. It has structure. It has order. Oh
yes.
my God, I love that. That is beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so I wanted to, the same way that you had that moment, I wanted other women to feel like that. Like, yes, you're right. Like, it's not just about sustaining my business, not just about making sure my business is appreciated, but how the business of myself, right? While you're handling business, are you taking care of the business of you? And so that's kind of what got me here is in seeing, I went through my own journey and then I started seeing it in others. And I said, hey, wait, I think that's why I went through my journey to help somebody else through theirs. And so that's
Mm,
now um, spreading this message more and more. Now, when I first started this, I wasn't in my 40s. And so life has since changed and that became something new. Now, the blessing for me is that we are in a society or in a time where we have social media. So embracing aging wasn't as scary for me because I got to see women who are far wiser in their years than I am, and seeing them do it gracefully, and
mhm.
see so many people and hearing stories about, I just landed this amazing opportunity and I'm 56 years old, or I just, started traveling more and I'm 72. I just got my college degree and I'm 70. And so I was here and seeing people like just embrace life. And I was just like, it's maybe it's not that scary, because I could see it in real time. And so that was really what was a big part for me was kind of looking. I wanted to find, and I think that's a part of it. I wanted to find the aging gracefully success stories. So I went looking for them. I went searching hashtags. There's got to be, right? There's got to be somebody out there. And then I started finding it. And after that, I was just like, oh yeah, like I want to do this too. I want to be that for someone else when they go to look for positive aging, pro aging,
Yes.
aging with grace. When they go to look up those hashtags and things that they're like, oh, okay, this is okay. Okay, it's not that bad. All right. So
Right, right. And inspiration and help, those who are over 40, 50, 60 to
yeah.
stay encouraged. And my thing is to own it. And so let's talk a little bit about age acceptance.
Mhm.
What are some ways that we can accept this process, this very natural process of aging?
So I think one of the ways is I'm about community and having your tribe. I think it's really a lot easier to navigate things when you're navigating it with someone or someone's. And so, meaning even on the days that you're not, like I don't feel like I walk around every day like, oh my gosh, 40 plus is amazing, right? On the days that I don't necessarily feel whatever I'm needing to feel, I have a tribe that I can tap into. Not necessarily have to lean on, right? Not have to put my pressure, but I can tap in. I can say, hey, you got a few moments to hold some space for me. Can I talk to you about some stuff? I'm feeling some kind of way about my little confidence today, about my self-esteem, about my looks, whatever, whatever. And then either they're like, encouraging it, or they're like, girl, I feel you. I understand. And so sometimes just knowing you're not alone helps you to embrace it, because it can feel like you're very much so on an island by yourself, right? Like I remember when I first started grading, I felt very much like I was on this island by myself. And because I was like, nobody else is
You
grading.
said you were grading?
Yes, grading
Well, where the grade?
in these grades. Okay. In these grades.
Okay, mixed in salt and pepper.
Best believe before they
Okay.
got done. And if you see me in my natural, you'll be like, oh, okay, I clearly see them. My,
Yes,
my braider just does a good job at blending them in. But I
right.
nobody else was. And I was talking to some of my friends and they'd say, girl, me too. Girl, I just cover them up. You just didn't know. And or like, so you have, that made me feel like, oh, I'm not by myself. And I think sometimes that's just what we need. It's not that we need it to fix or change it. You just don't want to feel like you're doing it by yourself. And so that has been a big way for me to accept this aging, boldly and audaciously.
Yes, yes. So, personal question. Have you began to experience perimenopause?
So I, in some ways, have, oddly enough, I'm sitting here with the little fan right now. Um,
Okay. Yeah, because I'm over here getting a little hot. I'm ready to take
And
this jacket
the
off.
funny part about it is I just got this book from this company. I'm not gonna launch, but it's about perimenopause. And
Okay.
they sent me a fan with it, which is the cutest thing because they know. So I
Yeah.
have started. I'm not far along like some other friends of mine who have all,
Uh-huh.
but I've got the little like, like your check engine light comes on in your car,
Yep.
the
Yep.
little warning lights. I got a little warning light here and there, like ding, ding. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
okay, okay, so you're coming. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. You're coming.
you're coming. Okay. So the blessing yet again in the society that we're in, where we talk about these things now. So
Yes.
without conversation, even conversations like this, right? Women can find information. And so when you get those lights coming on, you can go get information to help you prepare for how to take care of it, the mechanics of it, right? How to go
Yes.
service it, how to service those lights. Whereas though before I didn't feel like that was always the case. Um,
Mhm.
we didn't have that. We didn't,
You're absolutely right, though, because nobody prepares us for it. And that's what I've been speaking about. And that's why I created the platform. Nobody prepares us for perimenopause. Nobody prepares us for the change. Nobody prepares us for the changes, the body changes, like even the aesthetic changes, the look, the skin, all of it. Like nobody prepares us for the gray hairs that's going to come on down there. Like
yep, yep,
nobody prepares us for this. I said there needs to be a platform. We need to start really
yeah,
sharing our stories because there are two big moments in a young girl and woman's life. And the first one is menstruation,
yeah,
right? And the second one is menopause.
yep,
They're both changes in initiations and rites of passages.
yes,
The first one, menstruation, is her rites of passage into becoming a young lady. You see
true.
what I'm saying? And then when you get to the change, to the menopause part of it, the perimenopause and the menopause, you're being initiated into your wisdom.
Mm,
And that's why I was like, we have to learn how to pro-age and not do the anti-age.
yeah,
Because in anti-aging, there's a sense of resistance.
mm,
You're resisting the very natural processes of what's going to happen. Ultimately, it's happening. It's going to happen. I don't care how much surgery, how much Botox. I don't care. I don't care how much dye you use. You know what's going on. That's why you're over there doing all these things because you know it's happening, right? So
Absolutely.
to deny it and
Mhm.
go into anti, for me, just creates a level of resistance to where we're not owning the experiencing and we're not being, like you said, having the blessing of it. There's so much blessing in it.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the blessing in pro-aging audaciously.
Oh my gosh. You know, that's that's one of those things that I'm so glad that you're having these conversations, that you created a platform like this to speak on it, because again, these weren't things that we had, these weren't conversations that we had. And so the blessing is very much so individual. Now, I'll say this, right? Everybody's journey is different through it. And so what one person deems as a blessing may not be to someone else. But as far as for me, one of the blessings has been being able to be more comfortable genuinely in my own skin. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say that, like physically in my own skin, whereas though before I felt like I used to work out with the intention to be a certain way, like skinny or, there's nothing wrong with if you're a thinner or slimmer person, right? There's no problem in it at all. But for me, that was always like a goal. Whereas though now it is to work out, to be healthy, to take care of myself, to feel good in my body. And so that is a blessing, to feel good just in the body that you have. Another blessing for me too in aging audaciously is my level, and I said this in a recent piece of content that I put out, is that your level of unbothered, I feel like, increases. Like I'm not as bothered, and not because I'm on some old I ain't bothered type of, it is, I'm not bothered because I realize the older I get, my days are not promised, right? And so I don't have the time, nor do I have the desire to spend this unnecessary energy being bothered by something that either I probably cannot control most of the time.
You
So,
better say that. I'm about to have a hallelujah moment over here. You better say that. Yes.
so I'm like, okay, like that's kind of my friends tease because they're always like, you're, I'm always like, okay, and that's okay. Like that's and that's okay. That's just where I am at this point because I'd much rather, it's a choice and everything is, but I'd much rather spend the time that I have on Earth side for whatever that may be
Mm.
at this point, um, in a place where I am feeding, myself in a positive way versus in a negative way, that I am making my days more enjoyable with finding the joy and the happiness however I can. And that doesn't happen by being bothered by things that just don't matter, And so I feel like that's a blessing that you're just not bothered. Things that used to be tick me off, my patience would be like so quick. Now I'm like, okay, all right.
What I heard confidence. I heard that there's an increased level of awareness and confidence in it's like when you get over 40 coming into 50s, it's like you really begin to know yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And
Absolutely.
it's also like you might not know all of what it is and who you are, but you definitely know what you're not.
That part,
and
right?
and you know what you don't want.
That part again. Because really you realize what you need, right? Versus what
Yes.
just what you want. Wants change, but what you need tends to be like, I need this at this point in my life in order to thrive, live, whatever. And then the other part for me too is um, most of the time, the first half of our lives were spent for others. We're spent
Mm,
living for others, right? Because
yes.
your life, a primary part of it is you're an adolescent. So you were either living for others or living up on others' demands or what's expected of you, other people's expectations. So the first half, I always like to say kind of, prior to 40 feels much like, or maybe even prior to 30, I'll even say, it feels like it's for everyone else. you're being told what to do for school. Everything is there's this regiment. Whereas
Mhm.
though after that, if you choose additional schooling, that's something different. But no mandated schooling is needed after a certain amount of time. And so when you get to this age, it's like I've spent so much time doing everything for everyone else and listening and being and living for everyone else. Why not give myself a chance? Why not give the one person that I don't feel like I probably really has had a chance to have as much emphasis in my life, which is me. Um,
Wow.
and so, yeah, you get to this point like, well, I've tried living for everybody else. Why not try living for this person right here? And I think that's kind of what has happened for me in these next series of years. And that doesn't mean that is perfect or that I've got it painted out, but I'm also understanding that's a part of life too, right? Failing forward. I think that's something that I've embraced more too, is that it's okay to fail forward. It's okay to be seen trying. It's okay to start over. It's okay to pivot. We put these age limits on people. And
Yes.
a lot of times why people feel stuck in roles and responsibilities and jobs where it may no longer serve them, but it's like, well, I'm a certain age. I can't pivot. And I'm like,
Mm.
why not?
I so understand that because I've told this story before, and just when I was a couple of years ago, I had the marriage, the home, the businesses.
Okay.
I made millions,
Mhm.
you know, and I looked at everything and was like, I don't want this anymore.
Mhm.
I like, and it was right coming right out of perimenopause.
Mm,
And I spoke with my doctor, who was we started the hormone replacement therapy.
okay.
And I told her I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to give it all up. I just don't. It goes back to what you said. I was living for everyone else, and I kept giving, 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 sharing, sharing, sharing. And I felt like when I spoke about what I needed from those that I loved, it fell on deaf ears.
Mm,
So I no longer wanted to play the game. I no longer wanted to have all of these symbols of success so I can show up in a way and have this image where
yeah.
everybody will accept me and love me and give me definition. And I just looked at it. I was like, this is awesome bullshit. That's
Mm,
how I looked at it. I just woke up one day and it was like, this is some bullshit.
yeah.
Is this truly what I want?
Yes.
Or am I living this program out that I'm told I'm supposed to be at this age in my 50s? I'm
Mm,
supposed to have the house and the cars and the business and the husband. I'm supposed to, you know. So
yeah.
when I finally released it all, and it took me about 4 months, I literally released everything.
Wow.
And I remember going to my doctor. I told her what I was going to do, and I told you I was like perimenopause, and she was like, "Look, give yourself 90 days. Don't do nothing. Your hormones is not quite balanced yet, and I don't want you to make no rash decisions in this high emotional, very sensitive moment. Will you promise me you give it 90 days?" And I was like, no. And she said, no, please, Tracy, no, please. I need you to really think about this. I need you to let the hormones, therapy work. Let's get in your system and let's get these
Wow.
hormones regulated.
Mm,
And then you come back, and I promise I will support you. If you give it 90 days, I
mm,
will support you in your efforts. And she said, but I understand you. I'm here with you, but I need you. And I said, okay, I agree. So after 90 days, I came back and I was like, I still don't want it.
mhm,
I've made up my mind. And she said, okay, well, I support you then. And I say all of that to say is that age piece, because even when I released that, and when I want to say this, when God removed it, because
mm,
it wasn't just me,
yeah.
when God removed it,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
I kept going into resistance because I kept saying, but I'm in my 50s and I should have all of these things. I'm in my 50s. I'm supposed to be where I was. Who leaves a marriage and a home and shuts down businesses in the middle of their 50s? Who does this? This doesn't even compute, right?
Mm.
So it goes back to what you said about we have these markers that we're supposed to be a certain age and we're supposed to have done this and completed this and had this accolade and had this house on the hill and all that. And what I found is all that was some compound stress. I was highly stressed. I was
Mm.
experiencing anxiety, which I hadn't experienced on that level before. My hormones were changing, my body was changing. I was restless. And I just knew that there was something else there. And I couldn't pinpoint it, but I was willing to release everything to find out what it is. Because
Mm.
I felt like I was going to cheat myself if I did it.
Wow. I
Yeah.
think it's so interesting that were saying that this increased stress,
Yes.
right? Things that you were like, I now have anxiety,
Mhm.
and
High levels of anxiety.
of
Yeah.
anxiety,
Yeah.
high levels of stress, right? These things, and you're thinking, if I have these things, it'll probably reduce the stress, right? Like I'm finally going to be where I need to be. I'm finally going to be, and it's like, okay, well, I guess according to society, you are, but according
Right.
to well-being, you're not where you need to
No.
be. And I think that's not something that we are taught, which is why it was so important, where I feel like I had been called to step up to this plate to talk about well-being, and not from a scientist perspective, but from a
Mhm.
day, how you live your life perspective, right? Experiences. And we are oftentimes trying to measure ourselves against society's success. But what if success really looks like a sustainable you, a
Mm. Mm.
you that is mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, environmentally, socially well in tune, living in a work-life harmony?
Mm.
What if
Yes.
is actually what success is? Because to me, that's what it is.
Hmm.
A sustainable you means a sustainable everything else. Because when you are well, everything and everyone connected to you benefits from it.
Yes.
You are a better parent when you are a well person. You are a better partner when you are a well person. You are a a better employer when you are a well person. And so we are oftentimes, and I think the success, like the six figures, the house, the all, that is a result of being well. Like that's how you, to me, those things shouldn't be the goal. Being well should be the goal. And
Right.
out of that comes, okay, well, I'm so well, I was able to, connect in a healthy relationship. I'm so well now, I was able to run a successful business that I don't have to close down. And the business doesn't run me, I run it. Or I'm so
Mm.
well
That's
that,
big.
because that happens, right? So we're so busy to have the business, but now the business is running you. You don't run it, it runs you. And so you're not well, right? You were so quick to leave the 9 to 5, but you're still working harder for yourself. And so if we really started having the conversation about well-being, we're human beings, not human doings, but we're so conditioned to think we have to do something in order to be.
Oh, my whole spirit just jumped when you said that. We so conditioned to have to do something. I said,
To
oh,
do in order to be right. Don't you just got to do something in order to be something? Just because
whew,
I'm sitting down doesn't mean I'm not. You know what I'm being? I am being well rested. I am being calm. I am being in a place where my nervous system is allowing itself to not feel so heightened. Yes, I am being many things even by being still.
yes,
So
yes.
society, and a lot of us are unlearning. That's something that I feel like, if you want to talk about aging gracefully and audaciously, I feel like I am giving myself the permission to unlearn a lot of the things that I was taught. That I feel like has definitely come with age, and not from a trying to be argumentative or trying to challenge it, just unlearning it for me because it doesn't serve me.
Mm.
I'm not sitting here saying that that way of thinking doesn't serve someone. It may, right? But it doesn't serve me. And so looking at the things that I've been taught and seeing what kind of myths I need to debunk for me.
Okay. Oh, that was good. That was good. I'm telling this is when you know you are having an anointed conversation. When you start feeling the tingles in your body, because you speak in life, not just to me, but
Yeah,
to everyone listening now and even after. You are speaking life into us right now because the unlearning is that part. And I think as I became more older, as I became more mature, as I started pro-aging, I started giving myself more permission to unlearn. The
yep,
permission increased.
absolutely.
Yeah, because I started giving zero fucks. So like you said, that you just stop caring. It's like you don't care about what others think and you just start owning it, right? So when you get to that space and being able to unlearn and give yourself that grace, because
Yeah.
that process, that unfolding can be very painful.
It can make you question so many things. Like you may possibly look at the you prior years and say, so was I living a lie, or was I not living in my truth, or was I? And this is the thing that I've had to learn is no, you were living based on what you knew at that time. And we
Right,
all have to give ourselves this. My favorite thing to tell my clients is give yourself the grace to grow. Understand that you have to be careful and you have to be patient with becoming a version of you that you've never been before. So yeah, you're going to look at what you know now and compare it to what you knew then, and then try to make that version of you feel bad for being that version of you. But that version of you didn't have what you now know. That
right, right,
version
right.
is just going off of what it had at that time, right? And so, and the version of you at 85 will look at the you now and say, dang, when you were in your 40s and 50s and 60s or 70s, you should have, right? It's okay. It's okay to look at and kind of peel back the layers of the onion versus just eating it, just eating whatever's given to you. Here, eat this. It's like, okay, wait, you're giving me the onion. Wait, let me look at it. Oh, it's got some layers to it. Well, let me see if this, okay, if this really works before I just eat whatever's been given to me. And I think before that's what I was, right? If it's been said, let me just take it and that's that.
Yes.
But now it's based on what I know I need, based on where I feel led, based on my well-being. Do these things align for me? Do they
Mm,
serve me in this version of me?
mm,
And maybe they did then, but it
yes.
served this version of me. And so I'm not knocking it. Again, I'm just giving myself the grace to grow. I've just outgrown that. And I think, we have to be okay with being like, you can grow the same way we grow out of clothes. I'm not wearing the same pair of jeans I wore when I was 5 years old. I outgrew them.
Come
As
on.
I grew, as my body grew, I outgrew that size. Maybe some of these mindsets, some of these habits, some of these practices, they no longer fit who you are,
Yes.
right? And being able to give ourselves the permission to say that's okay. And that's okay. Maybe somebody else is still embodying that. Maybe that still works for them. And that's okay too. I'm just saying as for me and mine and how this vessel operates, that no longer serves me.
That
That's
was
it.
so powerful, powerful. The me and mine and the way that this vessel operates. And like we said in the beginning, aging is personal. It is a personal transition. And what works for Candice works for Candice. What works for Tracy works for Tracy. There may be some intertwining and some integrations happening in some shared spaces and and thoughts and procedures and things of that nature. But it is very individual. And that's why I'm so big on owning this process. We
Mm.
have to own it because it is personal.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
have some commonalities. There's some common spaces and things, but it's very, very personal. And so I need us to really understand that that's why we are saying pro-aging audaciously.
That's right.
Do it boldly.
Oh.
Stand up in it. Stand 10 toes down in it, baby.
This is something, I'm so glad you said that, because I too want people to understand, because I know sometimes when people hear bold or
Mhm.
they think big, they think loud.
Right.
And again, nothing's wrong with any of it, but I don't want that to ever intimidate someone to not live boldly.
Mhm.
It can just be setting a boundary for yourself and sticking to it.
Oh, that one right there. Because as Black women, honey, we give and share and serve. We serving at the church. We serving at the house. We serving a best friend. We serving the organization. We serving at work. We just serving.
The service. I was watching a movie the other day and I said, Lord, I know that Black woman tired. Like, I was just like, I know she's tired. She been serving this whole movie.
You want to go lay down for her, huh? Peace
I
be
wanted to
still.
let you know. I know she's tired. I'm tired for her. And I'm watching it.
Oh my goodness.
So
But
you're
with
right.
that, yes, go ahead. Finish
No,
what you're
no,
saying,
no,
babe. Go
please,
ahead.
please. You are on to something about the fact that, especially as Black women, it is a role that was placed unto us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a decision that we had. It's kind of something since the beginning we've been given, and
Yes.
trying to trying to let go of that role has been something that has taken generations, and it's still one of those things that we are trying to remove the cape of.
Yeah.
And I think every
Yes.
generation takes the cape a little further off,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
that's how
Yes.
we
Because I know
operate.
that generation under us, honey, I don't even think they own a cake.
Don't
Them
get me
young
started.
sisters don't even
Don't get,
what cake? Hey, give me my stilettos, girl.
they like, girl, what is you talking about?
Yes. But the boundary piece is so important because Black women, we've associated our value by how much we serve.
Yeah.
We've associated our value by how much we serve. And it's unfortunate, everyone else has too. So
Hello.
that's why that particular unlearning has to happen to have a certain level of true freedom
Yeah.
and liberation in
Yeah.
order to own this new level of who you are at this stage and age of your life.
Yeah. And I also don't ever want people to feel like there's this pressure of, because I often get people say, you just seem so, self-aware. And I'm like, baby, this is called daily work,
Yeah.
daily, and I'm aware of who I am at this point of this version. And even in this version, I'm still peeling back some layers. And so I don't ever want people to feel like, well, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, and I still don't know myself fully. And that's okay. That's okay, to give yourself the permission to not know. don't put that expectation on yourself, because then we start creating another kind of expectation. Like, well, when you're in your 40s and 50s, you should just know yourself. You should just be self-aware. You should be, and then people
Mm-hmm.
that roll on. And now they
Mm-hmm.
feel bad because they're like, I'm not really sure. Or like,
Right.
oh, so I don't want to add to
No
any
pressure. No
listen,
pressure.
don't ever. No pressure. And I mean that, like I mean that from way back.
Yes. No
No
pressure.
pressure. Do it in your own time.
Right.
Do it so that you are actually in embracing it. Even if you take
Mm.
those steps, those are still steps that are moving you forward to whatever that version, whatever that is, right? Um, because there's a version of you that's already out there doing probably the things you want to do. And someone said to me once, what if that version of you, maybe sometimes that pull that you feel inside of you is that version of you that is waiting on this version to catch up to it. Like you feel like there's this version of you that is out there maybe traveling and just living her best life, and you're looking at where you are right now, you're like, this just doesn't feel like me though. This I know there's more. It's probably because that version of you is out there.
That's where I was. That's exactly where I was. It was like, this isn't it. It looks good to everybody else, but I don't want this anymore. And then like I said, when God removed it and when I released it, that's when the true battle started, because
Yeah.
I was leaving the previous version of myself
Yeah.
and reinventing myself at the same time. That is a very uncomfortable, awkward space to be in. And
Yeah.
most people don't want to be there. So
Right.
they don't necessarily do it. And you know what? That's okay too. I'm not saying that it's for everybody, you know, but that's where I was in that space of releasing
Mhm.
knew and who I was and how people identified me, even how I identified myself.
Mm.
Uprooted now. Because see, I identified myself as the wife, as the business boss, as the entrepreneur, as the mother, as the
Yeah.
lover, as the friend, as the, I had all of these labels and roles attached to who I was. And here, by me releasing all of that, I was releasing all of that too.
Mm.
Yeah. So it took on
Hmm.
where I had a lot of course, the naysayers.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, my family was like, she went berserk. We don't know what's wrong.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
know what's wrong with her. Something going on with her.
Yeah.
And I couldn't explain it to where they would understand it, because once again, like we said, Candice, it was personal.
It was personal.
Personal journey. Now that they see this comeback, or I don't even say comeback, move forward.
That's right. This new
Yeah,
version, this version,
yes.
yes.
This moving forward in this new version, they're like, oh my, oh, wow. And I'm like, yeah. So what I creating this platform was necessary because I know very few women get into their mid-50s and decide to do that. Usually women in their 50s are trying to hold on to those type of investments.
Yeah.
They've invested, they got skin in the game, baby.
That's right.
They ain't just letting all that stuff go.
Right.
You
That's
see
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right.
And so I think that this platform, this platform was created to help women, even if they don't do it is to the level of which I did it. They'll do something in their life where they'll do some type of releasing and recreating themselves toward their happiness and their liberation. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I heard someone phrase it, people say, are you having a midlife crisis? And someone said, what if it's actually a midlife awakening? And I was
That's
like,
what I had.
and I feel like that, I love that. I love that we all go through some type of reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
It may not look the same again because it's personal, But even if that reinvention is, you go from being a, parent to being an empty nester, there's a reinvention that's happening. Now you've got it. There's a different kind of reality that happens here.
That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's for, many people that I know that are friends that have this happening, and
Mm-hmm.
or if you're going into retirement, right? Some reinventions are actually forced upon you. They may not be by choice. So that's why everyone goes through a level of reinvention. Like your life is reinvented in some kind of way, whether by choice or by force. If you're at the age of retirement, it's time for you to go from your job. It's like, and that can be scary, because if this is all that I've known, if this is this, and that's why us putting so much value on titles, on jobs,
Mm.
like, who are you? Right? Who are you? Not what do you do, right? When we're in business settings, that makes sense to say, well, I am this, because you're in a business setting and you're talking business and you're probably working together on something business related. But when you're just meeting people from a personal place, who are you? I like to tell people I'm a student of life. That's at the core of who I am. I'm really a student of life, because I feel like I'm always learning something, whether by choice or by force.
That's usually both ways. That's the two ways they come, by choice or by force. You're
and,
gonna do it one way or the other. You're gonna do it willingly or kicking and screaming.
and
you
either
gonna get
way,
this,
it's
you
gonna
gonna
get.
get this work. You gonna get this work.
And I've just been like, let me just learn something. Let me just try to learn something from it. And
Yeah.
that's, kind of been my own journey. But there's nothing wrong with reinvention. Sometimes it's necessary, i.e., in your circumstance, it was a necessary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because had that version of you not, or this version of you not been calling to that version of you to become this version of you,
Mm-hmm.
this platform wouldn't be here.
No, it
The,
wouldn't.
the people that you have touched, impacted, shed light upon, all the things that wouldn't have happened.
Yes.
So there needed to be a death to that version of you, to a sense, so that this sense of you can be birthed, because this version of you had a mission, right? You had fulfilled everything that you were supposed to do in that version of you, but this version of you had a different mission. And
Oh my.
sometimes we feel like we're only on one mission in life, right? What's my purpose? And I tell people all the time that your gift doesn't change, even if the talent, the vehicle in which the gift is being used does. You are still impacting people then, at that age, at that journey, in a different way. So if the gift was to impact, you're still doing it, just in a different way now. So yeah, sometimes the reinvention is necessary.
Mm. Them shackles, they freeing people. You freeing people right now,
I
sis.
hope
We
so. I hope
we
so.
we freeing them right now. We freeing our sisters right now.
Let them
We're,
go.
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes. And I have this true desire to see women living their best
mm-hmm,
lives
mm-hmm.
and being their highest form of themselves in every moment.
Yeah,
Every moment. I truly like, I'm very passionate
I can
about
I can
that.
tell.
It just makes me happy to see my sisters glowing and glowing, growing and growing. And then I love to also that we can collaborate and we network. That is so important
Yeah.
for our growth and development. Because when women get together, we naturally heal.
Right.
Oh, baby, we get together, get to talk, have a
We
little
do.
wine, a little water, a little tea. Oh, baby, we gonna do some healing.
One conversation can heal something that you didn't even think it could.
Yes,
It's
Yes, yes.
something very beautiful about that.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit. I think we've gotten into it. We've talked about transitioning. We've talked about pro-aging with confidence. We've talked about the importance of self-awareness and self-care. And we've even just touched on faith, freedom, and audacity. And that's our last points right now.
That well.
Faith, freedom, and audacity. What is your level of faith in your walk, in how you are, your self-awareness? How do you continue to hold on to your faith, especially when it's stretched?
I literally had this conversation last night. Literally with a friend, a dear friend of mine, and I said, your faith is really, or at least for me, has been shown in the fact of it's something when you feel led to help light the lights of others or help others keep their light going, when there are many days that you're like, my light is flickering and it's like holding on.
Yes.
And so when you are not because you want to or you feel like you have to, it's like a calling, like it is my calling to help keep somebody else's light lit. But at the same time, I'm over here doing the best to keep this light lit. And that is where the faith for me has to come into play. For me, it's been about not in my strength, not in my ability, because I am human and my ability only goes so far. My capacity only has but so much.
Yes.
And so there's a point in my own journey where Candice kind of lessens and God is greater. And so a lot of times I'm like, I need a strength exchange today, Lord. I can't, I don't have this, but I know that you do. And so I feel like for me, it's about my faith has been about leaning in. And that is where I lean on, right? I don't just tap in, but I'm like leaning on and being like, listen, I don't have this today. I genuinely don't have this. I don't even know what you want me to say today. I don't even have the words to actually say today. So you will have to actually like take the steering wheel fully. And it feels like every time I'm in that place, God never disappoints. And so
Right.
for me, it's just really been understanding where my strength is. Like not just, saying my strength comes from the Lord. No, like my strength for real does not come from me most days. Because when I look at what I'm having to navigate behind the scenes and still being called to do the work in front of the scene, so to speak, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. And so I think of faith is really it's personal yet again, but it's about understanding like I don't have to be strong. I don't have to be strength. I don't have to look like a superhero. I'm not even here to be the superhero in anybody else's story. I tell my clients that all the time. I'm not here to be your superhero. I don't even want to be the hero in your story. I want to help point you in the direction of how you can be the hero in your own story, how to guide you in that direction. And so faith has just really been about strength, not being my own, and being okay with being vulnerable. It's okay. I feel no less of a woman. I feel no, if anything, I feel greater in my womanhood because I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm able to say, listen, I'm a damsel in distress right now. Okay, honey, I can't, I don't have it all today. Okay. And that's okay. And that's okay.
Yes. How are you feeling about your freedom? The freedom that you own right now, the freedom that you're experiencing, and the freedom that you desire.
Intrigued, intrigued because it's something new. And so I am curiously happy about it. I'm curious and what does that actually mean at this place? Because it's something very new to me. Because to your point, it's not been something I've really had before. And so there's this level of intrigue about this is something new, but I'm curious about it. And I'm seeking daily what this means. And so it doesn't look the same every day, honestly. You know, um, today it might be the freedom of not being worried if my body is, looking a certain way in something.
Yes.
Tomorrow, the freedom might be to eat whatever I want to eat and not be thinking about the calories, right? So like there's mental freedom that I have. There's physical freedoms that I have. There's emotional freedom that I have. This level of not feeling like I'm holding on to certain mindsets anymore, certain pieces of baggage, and so there's this freedom, but I'm excited about the freedom to come that I'm, like you said, seeking, because I don't know what that looks like. And here's the thing, I don't try to give it a description. I don't try to give it a description because what I found is that sometimes when I put these boxes on things, I limit myself.
Yeah.
And I want, as I often like to pray, God, let me see how great you can be to me. I want to see all the freedom that you have for me. And so I don't even want to try to tell you how to orchestrate this. So let me just, as I arrive to that version of myself, I'll embrace whatever that is. But at this point, I am curious. I am intrigued and I'm enjoying it. And I don't feel like it needs to look the same every day.
Beautiful. What do you feel about aging audaciously? How does that feel and look for Candice?
It is still very much when they say like age is nothing but a number, it really is like in a lot of ways because I very much feel, yes, different things in my body that are happening and all of that. But I love having a spirit of, and I don't want to call it youthfulness because I don't think that I've seen youth who may not have this energy, but a spirit of like energy, this
Okay.
energy, right? Because I feel like when we say a spirit of youthfulness, what does that mean all the time? Because I've seen some youth that I'm like, I don't want that spirit. Like that's not the spirit that I have. So I just feel like this energy that I have is what aging audaciously means, is that I am not, um, I'm pacing myself and I'm pushing myself when needed. And I'm okay with both. So that to me is where the energy lies. I have the energy to pace, to take my time to understand that, yes, as I am growing gracefully, certain things are changing. And so there may be some moments where I have to pace certain things about my life, but I'm also in the energy of pushing myself and being like, and that's okay too. And we've still got a lot of get up and go in us. And there's a lot more to do. And I want to do those things, but not feeling like, oh, if I didn't go, I'm not living up to something. No, I'm like, aging audaciously for me means being okay to pace and being okay to push and knowing that both work for me. Both are necessary for me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Any last words to the beautiful women that have come, that are here tonight, and those who will be coming to hear this beautiful conversation among sisters who are aging audaciously, who are pro-aging, honey, owning it.
Owning it. Owning it, loving it. All I can say is um, grab the baton. Grab the baton. And even if you don't know what to do with it, as you are aging, as you are pro-aging, right, in your own walk, in your own journey, know that there is somebody at some point who is going to need you to pass the baton to them. They're going to need you to pass a word of wisdom, um, an experience, a pro tip, you know, something to them to help them along their journey. And so the only way we can help someone else along their journey is if we're willing to embrace our own. And so I guess I say to every woman that's listening, even if you embrace your journey afraid, even if you're not really okay with the whole aging just yet, and you're still got your, your feelings about it, that's okay. It's okay to be honest in that and say to someone, hey, when I was your age, I felt like that too. So just know the same way that you are picking up a baton that someone passed to you, embrace your journey so that you can be able to pass it to someone else.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Candice. We appreciate you so
Welcome.
much. This was this show really touched me. I mean, like
Glad.
I feel really good, and I just want to thank you. And I know the women out there are just feeling amazing, and we gave them so much information, pearls, gems, and wisdom. So please tell everyone how they can find you.
Yeah. So
And what do you have coming up?
Mm,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
you can find me on Instagram at Candice Denise, and that's Candice with an I. And you can also find me on TikTok by Candice Denise. So just put a BY in front of the Candice. And then what I have coming up, oh my gosh, I should have had that in front of me, but I have a master. Oh, that's sold out though. But there's a master class that's happening actually in 2 weeks, that a self-development master class that I'm really excited about. And I can't speak on this yet, but you guys will see it. If you're following me, I'll be talking about it soon. I have to finalize some contracts with it, but there's a pretty awesome speaking opportunity that I have coming up in person that you'll be able to come to. So as soon as I'm able to share the information there, I will, but please follow me. Outside of that, I've got some conferences in Dallas, Texas in August. You guys will be seeing some information about that where I'll be speaking. So you can come out and join me there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. How'd y'all like that? Isn't she amazing? Isn't she? I've just had we plan on having amazing guests here at Feminine Alchemy, and we want you to continue to join us. Thank you so much, Candice. I appreciate
Welcome.
you, and you are welcome to come back anytime. Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You've been an amazing host. I thank you so much. And again, thank you for having this platform. Thank you for answering the call to this version of you so that we could be sitting here today having this conversation.
Oh, you better speak it. Thank you so much. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Yes, yes, yes. Good night, love.
Good night.
Okay, I want to thank all of you for joining me. All of you for joining me this evening. I am Tracy, the Sacred CEO, your host of the #1 podcast, Feminine Alchemy, the podcast, which we are dedicated to the evolution of women who are seasoned and savvy and over 40. Join us April 29th. That is a Monday, April 29th, for more gems, jewels, and wisdom and dynamic topics for women over 40. So mark your calendars. Be sure to also join Feminine Alchemy, the podcast, on Facebook for exclusive content, updates, and showtimes. YouTube community, my YouTube community. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Tracy the Sacred CEO, for more. If you are a woman over 40 and you would like to join a power circle of women who are seasoned and savvy and over 40, you can join us in our exclusive community on Facebook at Seasoned and Savvy Women Over 40. All right. Thank you again. Have an amazing evening. And remember to wear your wisdom well, honey. Pro aging audaciously. All right. Peace and blessings. Love you.